This is Jacob Kinn, being interrogated in regards to a terrible crime that happened earlier in the day. And this is Jacob Kinn, being interrogated again only a few hours later and being presented with undeniable proof of his involvement. What exactly happened? It's not uncommon for a criminal investigation to take a sharp turn or escalate into something else. But in this particular case, what started as an out-of-control fire quickly transformed into a homicide, a kidnapping, and a race against the clock to save an innocent preschooler from a predator with an alarming history. On June 22, 2016, firefighters responded to an inferno at the Hillcrest Manor Mobile Home Park in Bemidji, Minnesota. With steam and smoke still billowing from the charred remnants of the home, investigators began looking for clues as to the origin of the fire. Almost immediately, signs of foul play were uncovered. Some windows from the home were blown out up to 12 feet away from the home, a telltale sign that either explosives or an accelerant was used, and the evidence supporting that was right in front of them. The master bedroom, while heavily damaged, wasn't completely destroyed, and sitting front and center was a large gas canister. This was not an accident, it was arson.
Bruce, could you shine the light on that gas can again?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna videotape it.
Yep. That help?
Yep, lots. Thank you.
Yep.
The search among the debris continued. In the middle of the home, a badly burned mattress was found, and underneath it, they found the charred remains of the homeowner, 35-year-old Melissa Norby. 3 details about their discovery were especially alarming. 1. Both Melissa and the mattress covering her were burned significantly more than anything surrounding them. 2. Melissa's hands were bound with duct tape, and while her remains were badly burned, there were visible signs of strangulation. And 3, after speaking with neighbors, they learned that Melissa lived there with her 11-year-old son. They immediately began searching for the remains of her son, but found no trace of him. Authorities were eventually able to get in contact with Melissa's relatives in the Twin Cities area, who let them know that the boy was alive and well, having arrived at their home earlier in the day to have a sleepover. The immediate relief that washed over authorities was fleeting, coming to an abrupt end 8 hours later when Amanda Smith, one of Melissa's closest friends, raced up to the scene in a panic. And the reason for her panic? Melissa was babysitting her 5-year-old daughter who was spending the night there. But investigators had just done a thorough search of the house when searching for Melissa's son, going so far as to check underneath the floor and gaps between the standard living areas. There was no question that Amanda's daughter was not in the house. But if that's the case, where was she? They figured that there must be a simple explanation. She saw smoke, became scared, and escaped, or she's with somebody else, safe and sound. They were wrong. The wooded area around Melissa's home, as well as neighbors' homes and vehicles, were immediately searched, but Amanda's daughter was nowhere to be found. The curious circumstances of the entire situation, each by themselves, were baffling, but now, with the certainty that the parents weren't involved in her disappearance, Bemidji police finally connected the dots. Was Melissa killed and her home set on fire, all in an elaborate scheme to kidnap the little girl? Whoever they were looking for wasn't just an arsonist and a murderer, but also a kidnapper. The unthinkable nature of the situation all of a sudden became a reality, and the race to find the missing child escalated to a new level and scope. Investigators began speaking with Melissa's known friends, and when speaking with one friend in particular, Tuesday Colopy, they uncovered some peculiar details about Melissa's sex life. Quote, Melissa was very into, not S&M, but more like daddy/little girl kind of scenarios that she was playing out with Chance. Tuesday said that Chance was the name that she had used for a man she had been dating in private, and said that Melissa had claimed at times that Chance had been very rough when they were together, and had turned violent before outside of the bedroom. Tuesday wasn't the only person that knew about Melissa's relationship, and after a few more interviews, they learned that Chance's real name was Jake, and that he operated a food truck called Jake's Eats. Bemidji had a population of just under 15,000 people in 2016, and has a resident-to-registered offender ratio of a little over 2,100 to 1. Giving the entire city a population of 7 offenders. To say that Bemidji police knew exactly who Jake was is an understatement. They were intimately aware of not only who Melissa's friends were talking about, but his history as well. Chance's real name was Jacob Kinn, and he was now the prime suspect. Kinn was still on probation for his past crimes, and knowing his proclivity based on those crimes, police scrambled to locate him. At 10:30 p.m., they arrived at Jacob's known address with a search warrant in hand, but found no signs of Jacob or the missing child. Detectives hatched a plan to get some assistance from Jacob's parole officer. The parole officer contacted Jacob and calmly explained that there was a missing child and that the investigators wanted to talk to him about it. It's common practice for those on the registry to be questioned in missing child cases, and this was presented to Jacob in as much of a routine, non-threatening manner as possible. Just after midnight on June 23rd, roughly 20 hours from the time that firefighters first responded to the fire at Hillcrest Manor, Jacob walked into the sheriff's station. This is the first interrogation of Jacob Kinn.
Okay, we are recording.
There's a gap of a few minutes from when the interrogation starts and Jacob Kinn being brought into the room for questioning. Huge thanks to 8MC Investigations for the assistance navigating Minnesota records to acquire Jacob Kinn's files. For fantastic coverage of never-before-seen cases, subscribe to 8MC Investigations, link in the description below.
Jake, this is Chad.
Hey, Jake.
He's also with the PCA.
How you doing? Good, how are you?
Good. Jake, we appreciate you coming in.
If you've noticed the low frame rate, this is unfortunately how the original interrogation was recorded. Thankfully, the trio you see are not very animated, so your experience will not be drastically altered.
Did your probation officer tell you what's going on? And
Well, I already knew there was a couple of sheriffs at my food stand today, so
okay,
they mentioned what was going on, and
what did they say?
just that there was a missing girl.
Okay,
I didn't go into detail, but
okay. Well, here's the deal. We get missing kids. Guess who the first people we talk to?
us,
Yeah.
I already knew that. I
Yeah.
figured, but
And that's why you're here.
Yep.
We're talking to anybody that's registered that has any connection with kids.
Jacob Kinn had already been convicted of crimes against children in the past. Some of those charges are on screen now.
When you get a kid missing, who do you look at? Well, you look at parents, and work out from there. So again, we appreciate you coming in on this late hour. Start. All right. You came into the police department. We're inside the interview room. You got two officers talking to you. You're not under arrest. You understand that?
Yep.
Are you here voluntarily? You voluntarily came in to
yes.
talk to us today?
Yes.
Okay. I am recording it, so there's accurate reflection of what we talked about today.
Yep.
And Jake, if there's any point that you don't want to talk to us, walk right out the door and walk through the double doors just like you came in. And
It's fine.
okay.
Okay. Okay. Last 48 hours.
Oh, let's see.
Let's start with let's go backwards instead of starting 2 days from now. Let's start backwards. So you came from where'd you just come from?
Oh, you mean start from right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
I find it easier people to, instead of thinking back, okay, what did I do 2 days ago, to work their way backwards.
Well, I was fishing up north.
Okay. Fishing where?
Clear Lake.
Clear Lake.
Yep.
Were you fishing with anybody?
No.
Okay. Where's Clear Lake?
Just north of North Home by close to Mizpah.
Okay. All right. Catch anything?
No.
No.
I wish.
What are you fishing for?
Bass.
Okay. What time did you go fishing?
About a little after 7, I think.
7 tonight? Okay. So from 7 till, a little while ago, you're out fishing?
Yep.
Okay. Prior to going fishing, sounds like you might have been at work or...
Well, actually, I went home for maybe half hour to an hour,
Okay.
and then the rain let up, so I decided to go fishing.
Okay.
But yeah, prior to that, I was at work, at my food stand.
And that's at Jake's Eats?
Yep.
Okay. What time did you start work at?
I got there this morning about between 10 and 10:30.
Where is the food stand at?
At Tabor's Bay.
Tabor's.
So, now when you're at your food truck, you stayed there till what time?
It was between 5:30 and 6, I think,
Okay.
because the water puddled up about 3-4 inches. So I was like, nobody's gonna walk up here. I might as well go.
There's 6. All right. You said at some point during your date, deputies came there to eat or something, or
Yeah.
what did they
around
tell
3
you?
o'clock.
On the night of the fire, murder, and kidnapping, Jacob states that police had allegedly eaten at his food truck. The investigators will keep this small detail in mind as they continue to unpack the rest of Jacob's story.
They said he asked what was on the menu that was fast to make.
Okay.
And I said anything but the kebabs. And he's like, all right, give me a couple of brats and waters. And then he's like, I got a missing girl, it's going to be a long night. And that was it.
Okay. Did you work with anybody or you work alone?
I was alone.
Okay. Do you know the missing girl's name is? Do you know her?
No.
Do you know her mom is Amanda?
No.
How about her dad, Scott?
No.
No family connection to.
So
Okay.
before work this morning, you are at home.
Actually, before work, I stopped at Lucan's to buy groceries for the truck. That was between 9:30 and 10, I'm guessing.
Okay.
Before that, I stopped at my parents to pick up my dishes. And before that, I was at home. I think I left home about 8 o'clock this morning.
When did you wake up today?
About 7:30.
7:30.
Do you live with anybody?
No.
A girlfriend?
No.
Anybody at your house during the time?
No, I don't live with anybody.
What time did you go to bed last night?
10:30, 11.
Okay. Talk about last evening.
Yesterday, I got home probably about 9:30, between 9:30 and 9:45. I was cleaning the fish. I went fishing between 7:30 and 7 and 8 last night here at 3 Island. And then I caught a bass, so I just hauled it up to my food stand to clean it, and then cleaned up my food stand and went home.
Okay.
The investigators continue to question Jacob about his whereabouts for the last 48 hours. As expected, Jacob recalls all the activities he took part in and locations that he visited that were nowhere near the vicinity of the crime scene.
Where we are
Is
now.
it?
Yeah.
Sound accurate?
Yep.
You're on probation, right?
Yep.
Can you drink?
No.
So, alcohol wouldn't affected your time or memory or anything like that?
No.
Correct? I mean, you're pretty sure on your time frame?
I'm positive of my time.
Okay, great.
Except for on the 21st, he missed going to Walmart.
Okay, I was taking notes. I remember here. It's on the Walmart. When was it? It's recorded, so I don't.
Before the food truck. Yeah.
Food truck.
Yeah, it was sometime between 8 and 9.
All right.
Maybe a little after 9, I guess.
And you've seen the reports of this missing girl. Have you seen?
I haven't seen any reports.
Okay.
I heard about from then, and then my ex brought it up because her boyfriend works for the fire department. But
Yeah. Did you hear about the fire?
yeah,
Okay.
I do know that lady actually.
Okay.
I haven't talked to her in like 6 or 8 months, but she worked at Anderson Fabrics.
Jacob says that he had not only heard of the fire and the kidnapping, but that he had also met Melissa before. He states that he had met Melissa at Anderson Fabrics, a place that they had both worked at in the past. However, Jacob purposely misleads the investigators, saying that he hadn't spoken to her in 6 to 8 months. Jacob was being untruthful via omission before, but now he's being outright deceptive. Remember, only hours before, Melissa's friends had given the investigators enough identifiable information for police to positively identify Jacob Kinn as Melissa's secret partner. Investigators immediately take note of this.
Okay. Before something.
And that's how you know her.
Yep.
And what's her name?
Melissa Norby.
Okay.
If that's right.
Yep, that's why I was asking you.
All right.
When you said lady, I didn't know who you're talking about. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So you worked with her in Anderson?
Anderson Fabrics.
Okay.
Yep.
When's the last time that you've seen her?
Like 6 or 8 months ago.
Oh, so it's been a long time.
Yeah.
Do you have any way to get a hold of her? Or?
No. Her phone number here.
Okay.
Okay. What else? Do you know her casually through work or knew of her? Do you know of her?
Knew her casually. I stopped at her house once because a mutual friend left a chair there that she didn't want, and he said I could have it, but then I didn't want it either. So
Was that the house at Hillcrest?
Yep.
Okay.
That was like a year and a half ago. I stopped there. So.
I mean, she's also a focus of the investigation. You know, there's a fire. You know, there was a body found. We don't know what happened. Okay.
Yeah.
And we also have a missing kid. So how is this all connected? That's what we're trying to figure out. Anytime we have a missing kid, again, you guys are the first person that we look at. You know, is it fire? Who knows? But until we know, we're out.
Yeah, it's a little annoying, but understandable.
Yeah, and I appreciate, again, coming in. So far, Chad and I work for the BCA. We are working with Beltrami County. There's not a lot on Melissa as far as friends that we're finding. Who did she hang out with at work?
Didn't really hang out with anybody. There was a few people she talked to off and on. Trying to think of her name. Yeah, there's one. Her name's Carmen. I don't know anybody's last names, but
All right.
that she talked to at work quite a bit. And then
Do you know if Carmen still works up there? Carmen, man or woman?
Woman. There's another one. She quit there a while ago, actually. But
And it's kind of what we're getting. Not a lot of, I guess, close friends, you know.
yeah. Well, she was a little odd. I mean, you know, but a lot of people up there are. So,
Like odd and how?
just the way she talked, and you know, like the first time I met her, she came up and she started talking to me, and then she started shooting rubber bands at me and a couple other people, and just, you know, more kiddish stuff, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Which kind of, you know, just threw me off from really wanting to talk to her. I mean, I talked to her a few times, but
Sheldon or Melissa? She would shoot rubber bands?
Quite a bit, actually.
Okay.
Did she ever talk about men in her life with you?
Not to me, no.
Do you know about her?
Overhear anything?
Actually, I take that back. She talked about she was dating a distant relative of mine, Rob Hawkins. And, you know, like 30th cousins or something. I don't know. And they were going to get married like a year and a half ago. And actually, I heard about this from Carmen and then from everybody else. And then, you know, the next day they weren't going to get married and so on and so forth. But they lived together for like 5 years or something. So that's really about it. I mean, she had a crush on me for a while, but she had a crush on more than a few guys there. Anyways,
Did she date anybody there?
not that I know of, no.
Did you date her at all?
No.
How come?
I was dating somebody else, and I didn't like her like that.
All right. Did she ever talk about her ex-husband?
I didn't know she was married before.
Okay. Or the father of her kid,
Not that
or like
not to
sometimes
me,
like bitch about him, anything like that.
not to me, no.
All right, when we say like contact, like in person, you ever talk to her on the phone? She ever call you, try to date you again, send you messages, anything like that?
Date me again?
Well, or try to not, you didn't date her, but
Yeah.
you know what I mean.
Yeah, we did talk a few times on the phone, but like a couple of years ago. But
Oh,
or a year and a half
nothing.
ago.
Anything recent.
No. No, nothing recent.
So, all right. So you last saw her 6 to 8 months ago, and
Well, I've seen her, like around town, but I haven't talked to her, had any contact with her in 6 to 8 months.
Does she have your cell phone number?
I don't think so, but she might.
Besides the number that you gave Paul, do you have other numbers?
Do what?
You have other cell phone numbers or do you have a landline at home?
No, I don't have landline or TV or anything.
Okay, so the only number that you have is the number you gave Paul.
Yep.
Okay.
so everything you told us is the truth.
Hmm?
Everything you told us is the truth. You're
Yes.
not, your whereabouts, anything like that.
My whereabouts are exactly what I told you.
How do you get to this Clear Lake?
Go up to North Home. Then I just go in through, there's a resort there, so I go stand on a dock.
Which resort is that?
I don't know the name of it. Pay attention to the name of it.
They let you come in there, they're okay with that? You've been doing that quite a bit.
No, I've done it before.
Is it first time this year or have you been up there
It
before?
was my first time.
First time this year.
Here's the deal, Jake. We have to ask these questions. Okay, we got a missing kid. All right, where are we going to go? We could sit in the office and do nothing, or we could go and talk to people.
Yep.
Our bosses, you look at the list. All right, who's got issue dealing with kids? All right, let's find out where they were, what they did. We're asking you these questions. Chad and I can go back, stand before the group. You know what? Jacob gave us this. He was here. He was here. And we don't want any window of doubt. So we can stand up to it. He's done. Cross him off the list. Trust me. Other sex offenders are getting knocked on the door.
Actually, apparently you guys were at my door, but I wasn't home. So.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, there's 20 of us.
Well, at least. Yeah, it's news to us that somebody's at your door, so.
All these bings are updates from all the investigators that are working this.
Yeah.
Your name was on the list. Guys were going out checking.
Yep.
It happens.
Well, it's fine with me. I mean,
Well, we appreciate you coming into it. So.
Yeah. Any issues with your probation officer?
what kind of issues?
I mean, you're good. You're not in trouble with her at all.
Not.
You don't have to be home at certain hours, that kind of
No.
stuff.
I mean, I just have to sleep at home, but otherwise, no. It's
Whenever you get in, you're good.
It's pretty. Yeah, it's pretty open. So.
I'm trying to think, Chad. I don't know what.
Well, I just want to explore this resort thing a little bit. Who can put you there tonight? Is there somebody there that saw you there? The resort owner?
No. I talked to my ex on the phone.
Okay.
I mean, she knew I was out fishing up there, but
Who's that?
I mean,
Jacob was previously married to a woman named Amanda. While spending time in prison for his previous crimes against children, she filed for divorce. By any stretch of the imagination, this was an incredibly good idea.
She might get a little pissed if you call her this
We're not
time.
going to call it tonight, but we'll follow up with her tomorrow.
She owns a mental health home, so
Where's she, where's that at?
in 911.
What's her phone number?
20
Yeah.
368 2117.
So you talked to her tonight?
Yep.
What time do you think that was?
Oh, I talked to her a few times, actually. I talked to her. She called me on my way back here, asked how the fishing was going, or how the fishing went, I guess. And I talked to her about 7 or 8 o'clock or something like that. So I was going fishing and, talking about other stuff, so.
You guys have a pretty good relationship?
Yeah.
You guys have kids together?
4 kids, yeah.
4 kids. Okay. And they stay with her most of the time?
All the time.
All the time?
Yep. I have supervised visits a couple times a week, so.
Okay. Is that part of your probation? You can't do all that? Okay. So you're at this resort that you don't know the name of. Can you describe it to us? Kind of help us out a little bit with that.
Just a resort. It's
The detectives pressed Jacob for more information about the resort whose docks Jacob claims he was fishing from. They asked for any details he could provide, but Jacob claims that he wasn't paying attention. When asked about if anyone saw him there, Jacob says no. Then, they try to use their phones to pull up a map, but are unable to due to poor cell signal. One detective leaves the room to find a physical map, and at this point, the other decides to bring the line of questioning back on track.
This Melissa, did you ever have sex with her?
No.
Never? Even years ago?
no.
Okay.
Well, I met her like 2 years ago, but no.
Did she ever want to have sex with you? Did she tell you that?
No.
Did she send you text messages or tell anybody or?
She texted flirty stuff, but I don't recall her ever saying she wanted to have sex with me, so.
Okay. And what were the flirty stuff, if you can describe it?
Just, hey, how's it going, sexy, stuff like that. For the most part, I just kind of ignored it because she was not real, or she was real blunt about stuff like that, I guess. Just, said what she thought all the time, so she'd say stuff and I just, okay. But other than that, it was, just stuff like that.
And when was the last time that you got a text message from her?
Like 6 or 8 months ago.
Okay. Do you have her number on your phone?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Not sure if that's her or not. I have a 308-3765 number. But
It could be a different Melissa even.
It could be
3765?
Yeah.
Do you have that? What do you have that under?
Mel.
Mel. Okay.
But I know a couple of Mels. So
Gotcha.
I don't know if that's her or not. I don't talk to a lot of people on the phone, mostly just family, so.
The detectives changed the topic back to something that could be considered safe for Jacob, his food truck. They talk about some of the details involved in the viability and liability of Jacob's business, giving Jacob some reprieve from the line of questioning about his and Melissa's relationship. By regularly switching back to a safe topic where the suspect can freely share the truth without any risk of damaging their fabricated story, suspects are more likely to inadvertently share the truth even while being intentionally deceptive.
Who is Chase?
Who?
Chase?
Chase.
I don't know. His name has come up as a guy that she knew.
I don't know.
Chase? Do you go by the name Chase at all? Do you go by the name of Chance?
No.
Just Jake.
The first sign of the investigators knowing more than Jacob thinks they know. Melissa's relationship with Jacob was kept secret, identifying him to her friends as Chance, something that Jacob was aware of because Jacob didn't want their relationship to be public.
Jake, I don't know any chances or chases.
Okay. And you know, the problem is we're getting so much information coming in, and some of it's probably inaccurate. So, you know, until we can kind of sort out what's accurate and what's not, it's kind of messy.
Alright. Sorry, it took a while. Alright, Clear Lakes.
The investigator returns with paper maps of Clear Lake's resort, trying to get Jacob to pinpoint exactly where the dock is that he claims to have been fishing from. We have the benefit of hindsight while watching this. We know that the investigators had already gathered information on his location based off his cell phone tower pings during that call with his probation officer. And, based on the way this interrogation is going, you can probably come to the conclusion that everything Jacob is saying about being preoccupied fishing is a farce. But to the investigators, they're not trying to find out where he was fishing. They're trying to find out where he may have dumped the body of the missing child.
All right.
Okay, so it's not, it's down here.
Okay.
Map. Turn around, but no, they've got the dogs over there.
Okay, so this is on the south, kind of southeast corner of the lake. Okay. You seen a picture of this? Can we show you a picture of what she looks like?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just pull her up on the internet for you.
Maybe she came to your stand or something.
I've only been open a week, so
Oh.
unless she came, well, if she came with her mom, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Do you ever see Amanda or Melissa with a young girl? Because they hung out a lot, apparently. The moms were friends.
Well, I don't know until I see her, so.
Not like Melissa came to your stand with a young girl, that kind of thing. I'm trying to think.
No, Melissa never came to my stand, actually.
Here, I'll give you a hold.
Do you know?
Well,
I
just
got.
pull it up on the internet here.
There it is.
Yeah, she showed me a picture of her once a long time ago of her and Aaron.
Who did?
Melissa.
Oh, how long ago?
A year ago, maybe? A little more? I don't know.
But she looks familiar. What did she say about her?
Nothing. She said that was her niece.
Oh. So she looks familiar.
Yeah.
She ever been in your vehicle?
Uh,
Ever been in your vehicle?
no.
Have you ever seen a little girl in person other than in a photo?
I think she might have brought her to work once, but I'm not sure if it was her or not. I worked, near where Melissa worked for a while, but then I got moved to the back, or quite a ways away. But I remember she brought a girl with her to work once, or not to work, but stop on the visit.
But you've never been over to Melissa's house when she's there or seen them out in town together? No. You've had no other occasion to run into this girl?
Not that, no. If she was with Melissa, that would know.
Have you ever given Melissa a ride in your vehicle?
No. Well, yeah, once to the gas station back, from Anderson's to the gas station and back.
Is that the vehicle you're driving now or a different vehicle?
No, it was a different vehicle.
Okay. What are you driving now?
Like Jeep.
Like a Jeep Wrangler or a
Jeep Grand Cherokee.
Grand Cherokee? What year is that?
01.
01. So Melissa's never been inside your Grand Cherokee? And this little girl's never been inside your Grand Cherokee?
How'd you get up to Clear Lake? If you go, here's a map. We got Turtle River.
We're just trying to find this little girl. That's what we gotta do. So part of that is that everyone we've talked to, we've asked to look through their cell phone, look at vehicles, and look at the residences. Like I said, our goal is to try to find this little girl or any evidence of her disappearance. Is that something that you'd be willing to do? Let us look through your phone
Tonight?
Yep. Yeah. Very colder than you get into it?
Nope.
Okay.
Jacob willingly hands over his phone, handing over one of the most crucial pieces of evidence a case like this could have. He does this with no argument or resistance, which is the type of behavior most would expect from someone innocent. Despite the fact that Jacob did have a right to not hand over the device without a warrant, Jacob is a seasoned veteran of police encounters. He knows that even if he asserts his rights, it would likely give the impression that he's hiding something, further increasing suspicion towards him. It's a catch-22, but Jacob had a plan going into the interrogation room. He had already purged his device of incriminating evidence. Or so he thought.
What about your vehicle?
Okay. I'd prefer if the rest waited till morning so I could get some sleep and so I could work tomorrow.
It's not like a big search. You know what I mean? We're looking for. It's obvious signs that the girl would have been in it. It shouldn't be.
We're really looking for the little girl. So it'll take 10 minutes to walk through your house.
It won't take that long.
Okay.
I live in a 10 by 16 foot cabin.
You don't have to. If you don't want to. Would it go a long way to
I'd
clear it up?
I mean, I'd rather have Tiffany come out and search it if you guys want to.
And we're okay with that too, if you are.
Who's Tiffany?
Might be okay.
Oh.
Can I just give this to the guys upstairs and let them look at it quick? Are you okay with that? Because I don't know how to use the damn thing. So, while we talk about, we can go through your vehicle together.
You can go through my vehicle.
Yeah. Can I run this upstairs quick?
No.
Okay.
Uh-oh. Jacob refuses to let the phone be taken out of the room. After the questions about searching his vehicle, Jacob's willingness to be helpful makes a sharp U-turn. He's been in the hot seat before, and it's becoming painfully clear to him that this wasn't just a routine call to ask a registered offender some generic questions. The heat is on, and he knows it.
What are you doing on there?
I have no idea. Trying to look at your text messaging.
The buttons don't really work very good. So.
Maybe it's me.
Jake, everything you told us is true.
Yes.
Correct, 100%. There's nothing that's going to interfere with your recollection of your timeline and where you were.
Yeah.
All right, no alcohol induced, I don't remember type stuff. Right.
But am I free to go now?
Yeah,
You can send Tiffany out whenever you want, tonight, tomorrow, whatever, but.
I'll just finish it quick.
well,
Here.
I don't know how to use the thing.
Jacob realizes that good impressions aren't going to be a saving grace here, and gestures for his phone back.
Here's the deal. We're looking for a 5-year-old little girl.
And I hope you find her.
So do we. And that's our goal. We would like any help that we can on it.
Jake, we got reports that you had a relationship with Melissa.
Yep, I heard a lot of the same thing,
What'd you hear?
that we had dated.
Okay,
And
tell us about it.
Now the investigators will begin showing their hands. After allowing him to concoct stories and outright lies for the last hour, the pressure begins. They start by revealing just what they've heard, not any of the supporting details or the number of people that had shared the same information. Investigators often do this to give a suspect the room to do two things: either come clean or intentionally lie. Guilty parties are often quick to offer an explanation for a potentially damaging claim, and in doing so will further bolster the case against them. Why? Because they attempt to deflect the associated blame with that statement and diffuse the situation, but because the truth is already known, their intentional deception is used against them, discrediting them as a whole and deepening the seeds of doubt.
There was nothing to tell. I was dating another girl at work, and she got pissed off.
Who was that girl?
Jessica Landry.
Okay.
This was, 2 years ago.
Okay.
But, smoothed over, whatever. She stopped by the house a couple times. We argued. But
When you say we, you and Melissa.
yeah, but not like argued. She said she wanted to be with me. I said no, that
Okay.
kind of thing. But it wasn't anything,
That's what we heard when
there was never actually a relationship,
um,
which is what I already said.
well, yeah.
I mean, it's,
Well, we heard that, no, there's more of a relationship than just her wanting to date you type thing. It was, you guys were having sex and it was a relationship.
no.
No? All right.
Or maybe we're not using the word relationship right. That you guys were having sex.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Not sex partners or,
Friends with benefits.
Yeah,
or anything else.
yeah.
Okay.
that's what I mean.
Okay.
Why would we hear this then?
I have no idea.
And you haven't been in the house, Melissa's house, for how long?
Over, year and a half.
And when you last saw her, would you say like 6 months ago? That was where?
Said last time I talked to her was 6 or 8 months ago.
Okay, I'm not trying to trip you up. Last time you talked to her, what was the circumstances of that conversation?
Actually, that one wasn't. We just talked a little bit.
Just
it was, hey, how's it going? Whatever.
saw each other at the mall, a bar.
It was actually at work, but
At Anderson?
Yeah.
Oh, was she still working there then?
no, she stopped in to visit people pretty often.
Okay. And then you just saw her casually through that.
After being pressed yet again on the nature of Jacob's history with Melissa Norby, what he had previously described as a fleeting acquaintanceship, and her mild romantic interest in him 6 to 8 months ago, now has expanded quite a bit. Now, there's times that he had spoken with her recently at Anderson Fabrics, and she had even gone to Jacob's house and gotten in an argument with him in regards to their relationship, which Jacob still claims didn't exist.
All right. We got to clear up this relationship thing. Do you know her son?
I've never met him, no.
Okay.
I've seen him, but I haven't talked to him.
Is there a reason why he would say that you guys had a relationship?
Not that I know of, unless his mom said we did, but otherwise, no.
All right. What about her coworkers where she's working now?
I don't know any of the coworkers.
Well,
I don't know where she's working now.
okay. Well, the coworkers indicated that you guys were having sex.
I don't know any of the coworkers, so I can't say anything to that.
Okay. Well, I'm not asking to account for what they said, just that they said you're having sex. You're, again, saying, no way.
No, I wasn't the least bit attracted to her. And, we didn't have a relationship, so.
But we're not going to find anything later on that you did?
What do you mean?
Have a relationship, sex talk on Facebook or anything like that?
I don't have Facebook and
Or anything like that?
How about on your phone or her phone? Deleted text messages or anything?
you wouldn't find anything on my phone.
Okay.
Jacob says that they won't find anything on his phone, but consider the odd phrasing of this. It's not that there wasn't anything there, It's that they won't find anything. It's an interesting and almost certainly unintentional way of phrasing that there is nothing incriminating there. But on the same note, if true, why take the phone back so quickly if he wants to be seen as innocent? Why did he choose to change his willingness to help right when the detective said he was checking his text messages earlier? Keep this particular instance in mind when this interrogation ends.
On her phone.
Couldn't find anything on her phone that I'm aware of. Not from me.
And you haven't talked to her on your phone for quite a while, you said?
Our crime scene team's done with their stuff. Is there any, give me any evidence that you were in her house? Fingerprints? Anything like that?
I don't think I really touched anything when I was there, and that was a long time ago.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. All right. Any reason why some neighbor would say they saw you at her house last night?
No. I wasn't at her house last night, so.
Or your vehicle in the area? Because when this fire took place, it was loud and it raised the attention of the neighborhood.
No.
An eyewitness at the scene of the fire said that they, quote, saw Kin the morning after the fire and told police Kin's hand was bandaged and that he smelled majorly of gasoline. The witness said Kin told him he burnt his hand.
I don't know anybody around there, so.
When's the last time you were in that trailer park?
Actually wasn't. I think I was in there. I drove through there a day or two ago. I have a friend that lives there, but.
Okay.
When Jacob is confronted with the fact that a witness had actually placed him at the trailer park where Melissa Norby's house burned down, Jacob quickly finds a reason to explain why he might have been seen there. He was visiting a friend named Mike, he says, that he doesn't seem to know too well, but well enough to drive out and visit. Things are looking increasingly bad for Jacob.
Who's your friend that lives there?
Yeah, that's
Mike, I don't know his last name.
What lot does he live in?
I don't know.
What's he drive?
Red truck.
Or Chevy?
I don't know.
how do you know?
Through group.
Group, probation group.
Is he on probation right now?
I don't know if he's on probation or not.
Okay. Describe Mike to us.
26, engaged.
Would Tiffany know him?
Yeah. But he wasn't there anyways, so.
He wasn't there 1 or 2 days ago when you drove through?
No, he wasn't home, so.
Do you have his phone number?
I don't think so. So I drove through. I used to, but he changed his number. No, I don't.
Okay. How tall is Mike?
I don't know about my height, maybe
Which is,
5'11".
what's he weigh?
No idea. About my weight, maybe a little less.
180.
190, 195.
Is it group therapy or something? Or
Yeah. Well, I'm not in it anymore, but.
oh,
yeah,
that's where you met him through. You know if he still attends?
I think so.
What were you wearing yesterday?
Um,
Until today.
Yesterday I was wearing
plain black shirt.
Are you wearing the
Black
same
shirt.
pants as you were yesterday, or
No.
different? Same style of?
What about you? Same
Same shoes.
Same boot.
Boots.
Would you let us photograph you? Your arms and body and boots and all that stuff? Tread pattern on your boots?
So,
A detective leaves the room to get a camera after Jacob agrees to be photographed and have the tread on his boots forensically examined.
I'm concerned about this sex talk stuff that we've heard.
when you say here, I'd like to know exactly what you're talking about because
That Melissa talked to her friends about a sexual relationship with Jake. Do you have a nickname?
just Jake.
Do they call you Chase or anything like that? Chance?
No, you
Something
already
like that?
asked me that. No,
You did?
I don't
Oh.
know any chases or chances or
Okay. No one's ever called you that.
no.
Okay.
I don't know why they would.
It was Jake. He has a food truck called Jake's Eats. Recently hooked up with Melissa. They've known each other and had a sexual relationship.
No.
And they got specific. There was role playing, some kinky stuff going on.
No.
And we've heard it from two different groups.
Different groups.
Yeah, her cousin and then her coworker. And Jake, if you're having a sexual relationship with her, doesn't mean you killed her. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I know,
So-
but I didn't have a sexual relationship with her, so
Oh, okay.
I mean, even if I was and I was embarrassed, that
Yeah.
makes no difference. But I wasn't having a sexual relationship with her.
All right.
Jacob once again seems to have inadvertently offered an explanation for his deception. He offers the initial counter-argument of, quote, even if I was and I was embarrassed, when denying the allegation that he was involved, at minimum, in a physical relationship with Melissa. The only person describing Melissa in a way that coalesces with that statement is Jacob.
And
I mean, if you can take and find my semen in there, that would be a miracle because
okay.
it did not happen.
Okay. And the reason I'm kind of pressing you on this, I guess, lack of a better word, do you think people tell us the truth the first time they talk to us?
No, most of the time.
Right. And there's times where people have omitted things to us that we knew, and then it kind of throws us all. Okay, why aren't they telling that relationship with her? It still doesn't mean you killed her. And they admit that because it may be embarrassing, or they think, well, if I tell the cops I had a sexual relationship with her, they're going to think I killed her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't want to come back to you later with proof that you had a sexual relationship with her, and then you can't explain it because you're saying you didn't. Do you understand what I'm getting at here? I don't want you to be in that category where I'm withholding some information from these guys because it may look bad for me.
Yeah.
In the long run,
Yeah.
it could backfire. It's like, all right, here we have this guy. We have these people saying she had sex with him. They had a sexual relationship. You're saying they're not.
One of the very few lifelines they will offer is thrown to Jacob. In summary, Jacob is given the chance to admit to having lied earlier for whatever reason, and in this particular case, the detectives hone in on potentially being embarrassed and being physically involved with Melissa. Jacob has an opportunity to dismiss an element of suspicion by coming clean on what the investigators have already deemed most likely true, that Jacob and Melissa shared a physical relationship. Will he accept the lifeline, or will he drown in his own lies?
I got to explain to my boss. Well,
That
he's
stuff's
denying
been
it.
said before about me, and it wasn't true. So, we never had a sexual relationship.
Mm-hmm. All right.
I mean, other than people saying it because she might have been saying it, I mean, there's nothing else there. We never had a sexual relationship.
Okay.
We never had sex or did anything sexual.
Yeah.
And my name's not Chance or Chase or Chevy or anything else.
Jacob rejects, choosing to drown instead.
I've never went by those. My only nickname other than Jake is, a long time ago, people called me Twitch.
Okay.
But, and a few people call me Blue Eyes, but never went by any other name.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, would you let us go through your vehicle?
You can have Tiffany do it. Honestly, I'm a little annoyed because, like as far as where I was tonight, I explained where I was the best I could. I'm not good with directions. I'm not good with all that crap.
Mm-hmm.
And when I keep getting asked the same questions over and over again, it kind of ticks me off.
Okay.
Tiffany's allowed to anytime she wants. She can come search my cabin, search my car, search my property, search whatever she wants to, my phone, anything else.
All right.
But, I haven't seen Melissa in quite a while. I haven't talked to Melissa in quite a while. I feel really bad that girl's missing, but I feel bad that, Melissa died, but, just because she said she had a relationship with me doesn't mean she did. I mean, I was always nice to her because she had, I forget what it's called, but, anyways, mental disorder. She didn't get along with people well, or easily, I guess. She came off the wrong way. So I was always nice to her, but that was, and yes, we did have an argument, when she wanted to be in a relationship with me. And I said, no. Besides the fact I was dating another girl, this is kind of the same thing. And, she might have still been glued on that, but when we haven't talked in forever, then it's...
All right. But can you see our issue?
Yeah.
You think she could be making that up about you or something?
Yeah. Well,
maybe
she did before, and it was, basically the reason we stopped talking, or was because she told people we were dating, and no, we weren't. I was being nice, and I'm nice to everybody, but so she never let it go. It's
who can put you at that lake?
Nobody.
Nobody. Don't recall anybody seeing you out there?
No.
Right.
I seen a couple cars, but I wasn't paying attention to that stuff. I didn't see anybody around. There was a family at 3 Island yesterday, but as far as like tonight, I'm still not seeing why that matters at all.
I'll tell you why.
The detective is making a last-minute check of a satellite map of the area, and the map is showing the towers that Jacob's phone had pinged. The metaphorical mic drop.
Basically, Jake, your cell phone doesn't put you in that spot tonight.
Well, that's where I was.
If you were here, there's cell phone towers your cell phone would have put you at, instead of being, way over here.
Way over where?
Jake's got the camera. Jake wanted to know why it was a big deal that we talked about where he was fishing, and I just told him his cell phone didn't put him there.
Where were you when Tiffany called you?
At the lake.
Stand on the dock in your vehicle? Where were you?
I was packing up, getting ready to leave anyways.
Okay. And what time did she call you? Look at your
Well,
phone.
it was
Look
like
at your phone.
10:23 or 20.
Look at your phone. Show me the call. We can see the time.
It was 10:23 or 10:27, and my phone started beeping. I had to call her back.
Okay.
Do you have Rob's number?
Rob Frake?
Yeah, I wanted him to send me that picture.
No, I don't. 10:23. I get what you're saying. I can't explain it though. I wasn't anywhere else.
So you're standing on the dock when she calls you.
Yeah.
At
Well, when
10:20
my phone went off.
Okay, at 10:23 at night.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I was packing up my stuff.
Right, because it's dark out.
Yeah.
Dark.
Well, it wasn't really dark. The stars were shining and stuff, but yeah.
Okay. Did you show him this?
Yeah, but I can't get a good read on that. The other thing that Rob had was better. All right. This is a bad photo, but you see that lake right there?
Yeah.
That's where you are.
Mm-hmm.
That's where your cell phone is.
Okay.
That's
Yeah, I said I got that.
okay. I just wanted to show you the map with a clear picture. So that's,
Yeah.
and their cell phone tower is closer to that it should have pinged off of.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I said I got that. I don't know how that would have happened, but yeah, I wasn't in Big Fork. I had no reason to be in Big Fork.
The data on the map that they've confronted Jacob with shows that he was located in a city named Big Fork, an extremely small and rural area located over 70 miles from Bemidji.
So you drove the route that you drew out for us to that lake, and you were at that lake until Tiffany called you.
Yeah.
And from that point, you did what? Backed up and
in here.
you drove back here.
Well, I swung by my road and checked my mailbox. And then I came here
Checked your mailbox.
for mail.
Okay.
Because I had to check the mail today and on my way by. And I wouldn't forget because I was waiting for my city license. So,
Okay.
but it's besides the point. But yeah, I don't know why, it pinged off a Big Fork Tower. I have no reason to lie about where I was tonight.
Well, that's what we got to check out, I told him when you were gone that about the claims we got about the sex.
Yeah.
And how we got to figure it out. And I stressed him that he shouldn't admit if he did. Doesn't mean he killed her. But if we find out later that they had sex, how it could
just
complicate things.
it looks bad.
It would look bad, but we never had sex. So,
and that's what he said. So,
okay.
I mean, you can, like I told him, you can check her for my semen, check whatever, do whatever you want. But
his DNA is not going to be in the house.
my
Fingerprints
DNA
aren't
won't
gonna
be in the house, won't be in her, nothing like that. I mean, if I was in a relationship with her, I'd admit it. I mean, it's not like you guys are teenage girls and you will blab it around. I wouldn't care. But, I not now or ever have been in a relationship with her. I also didn't hate her and, or anything like that, She annoyed the crap out of me sometimes, like when she's telling people we're in a relationship and we're not, but that's besides the point.
All right.
I mean, if you got, other than people telling you something, I mean, I'd like to know so I can explain whatever it is, but.
We're hearing
There's
stuff
nothing
on the
there.
street just like everybody else, so, we're just following up on the, sometimes it's just rumor mill and gossip, and sometimes it's true and sometimes it's not, so.
But I mean, that'd be the smallest thing that, I'd lie about if I was going to lie about something anyways, about being in a relationship with her. I mean,
Do you know your license plate by chance?
no idea. It's on the registration forms.
Yeah. Wait, we're finding the camera.
Yeah.
Use our phone.
Let's step out quick and see if we can find Jake. Is your vehicle parked out front?
Yeah, I think I already.
Just grab it quick.
Yeah, let me.
So, I'll see if I can find Jake.
All right, we'll get this picture. Take a look at your vehicle and.
Do what now?
We like to take a picture of your body, your boots, clothes, and then take a look at your vehicle with your permission.
You can send Tiffany out to do it.
We'd like to do it tonight and be done with it.
I would like to go to bed like 3 hours.
I mean, you can.
But it's,
It won't take us that long. Just want to make sure there's no little girl in there.
peeking through the windows. I don't care.
I haven't been outside yet. Clothes, fishing gear, stuffed in there. Or...
Fishing gear, water jugs, and dishes.
All right. I mean, if I get yelled at from my boss that I didn't do it tonight and set it like tomorrow when Tiffany does it, well, everything could be gone.
The detective desperately tries to get Jacob's permission to execute a search, but is met with heavy resistance, even with his plea to help him not get in trouble with his boss, which is laughable considering Jacob is a convicted felon of the most despicable sorts, falls clearly short of its mark. Without Jacob's permission and without a search warrant, gaining access to Jacob's car, phone, his clothes, and otherwise would be a severe violation of his rights, effectively making any evidence they did gather in that instance inadmissible in court. The battle between police and pedophile is on.
But if you have nothing to hide...
I'm going home and going to bed. I don't even own a vacuum. You know, it's neither here nor there.
I mean, you can see my point, right? I mean, it'd be a quick search. We're just looking for the girl. She's not in there. No.
I don't have her. You can send Tiffany out.
Her shoes or clothes, anything. You got any little girl's clothes in there?
No.
Little girl's shoes?
I do. I think I have a couple shirts in my cabin from my daughters, but...
Okay. Yeah, I'm talking about your vehicle. Anything?
Not that I know of, but the...
Step up, Paul, you're free.
The last detective in the room is called out to reconvene for a moment, leaving Jacob alone for roughly 7.5 minutes. For 7.5 minutes, Jacob's mind races, trying to figure out what he can do, if anything. He settles on a plan of action. He's leaving.
All right, I'm leaving now. Like I said, I was going to do like 5 times, but they kept talking to me. Goodbye.
I'm going to show you a couple more pictures. This gas can, have you seen this before?
Look familiar?
Nope.
Jacob's escape lasts for roughly 30 seconds before he's pulled back into the interrogation room and confronted with another piece of damning evidence. Remember the gas can that was found inside the charred debris of Melissa's home? When Jacob's home was searched earlier, police found a row of similar gas cans with one apparently missing. The one that was found inside of Melissa's home.
Looks familiar. I own a few gas cans.
You own one like that?
I own one like it, and it's at my house.
Would any reason why your DNA would be on that gas can?
No.
And if it was? You couldn't explain it.
No.
Okay.
I do own a gas can like that.
You do? Okay.
I own several gas cans like that.
Here's the deal. Chad and I, what we can't get over. Melissa talked to her friend in Nebraska. She's dating a guy, or seen a guy with blue eyes, has a food truck. That's you.
She's telling people that.
Okay, hang on. Her cousin in the cities, Jake, owns a food truck, sells food by Rutgers. That's you.
That would be me.
Co-workers describe you.
Okay.
What? No.
And has anybody seen me with her?
Here's the deal. That one night encounters, maybe because you didn't go to the bar dancing with her and no one saw you. Why would Melissa brag about you or having a relationship with you to someone that doesn't even know you? You know, they're in the city.
4 states away.
Yeah, I could be lying to Chad that I'm dating some supermodel. You know, well, Chad would know because I worked at. He would see me. He would know. You know, or someone that lives in Nebraska in the cities. They don't know you. They'll never run into you. Why would Melissa say she has a relationship with you? She could say anybody.
She could.
Why would she give your name? So,
I don't know.
and that's if it's not just one person, Jake. Her son talks about you. Her cousin, co-workers, this girl in Nebraska. That's 5 different people that say it's you.
I've never met any of them. So
I know. So why is Melissa describing you? She could say to her friend in the city, she could say she's dating the mayor of Bemidji, right?
Yeah.
Why you?
The point that the detective is trying to make, that Jacob is clearly not picking up on, is this. If Melissa was going to make up and talk about a relationship that wasn't actually real, why would she choose to make one up with an uneducated, overweight, poor, unambitious, morally corrupt, sexually perverse, social outcast, convicted pedophile felon if she could choose anyone? Jacob's grandiose self-confidence is clearly misplaced.
I don't know, because she had a crush on me a long time ago, and she wanted to date. I already told you this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's years ago.
A year ago, 2 years ago, yes.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense that she doesn't even work at Anderson Fabric anymore.
I don't
According
know.
to you haven't seen her.
I haven't seen her or talked to her in 6-8 months.
Okay.
You recognize this little girl?
I already answered that question.
The entire focus of our evening is this little girl.
Yeah.
Okay. We have to go and tell her parents, this community, and everyone in this building that we've done everything we can to find her.
I don't think that's true.
Jake, something bad happened. Okay? Something bad happened.
Electrifying tension fills the room. The niceties and dancing around being accusatory are gone. The detectives are now directly asserting to Jacob that he is likely responsible for what happened, and that he probably knows where the missing child is.
If something happened, if something got out of control, and somebody ended up dead, and this little girl is somewhere, whether she's alive or whether she's gone, we have an obligation to everyone to bring her home.
Mm-hmm.
Jake, if you can help us with that in any way.
I would if I could, but I don't know where she's at.
Jake, if you could. I know it's tough. I know it's really tough to think about what's going to happen and all that kind of stuff, but I'm saying this right now. There are people out there that would support you if you said, you know what, I made a mistake. I made a mistake, I overreacted, and this little girl is we can bring her home. Let's do that. The 3 of us together, let's bring this little girl home. Let's bring her home to her parents. They need the closure.
Siffer, I don't know where she's at.
But you can
I don't
help us.
have her.
The closure.
You're insisting that I have her or I know where she's at,
I am.
and I don't.
Jacob's unwillingness to bargain with the investigators and his overly defensive attitude have caused the assertions to become outright accusations. Jacob is guilty. No likely, no probably, no maybe.
I've told you my whereabouts. The only thing that's sketchy is where I was tonight.
And that's the big issue.
Yeah.
That's a huge issue for
I
us,
can't
Jake.
explain that. I
That's-
told you where I was.
And that's our worry. Jake, if
And we
you
can't-
did something to this little girl,
That wouldn't happen
why?
because I don't have her. I didn't have her. I wasn't there. That's why.
Okay.
What you have is a bunch of people saying I'm dating her, which happened before when she told people I was dating her.
No, this is just
No.
recent stuff.
Yeah. And
Jake-
it's not dating,
Jake-
it's just sex.
Yeah, Jake,
Okay,
it's
that's
rough
fine.
sex, and if she got choked down and she died in an accident, let's talk about that. Let's fix it. Okay, that's fixable. Okay,
She was into bondage. She was into rough sex.
if this little girl, you panicked and did something to her, maybe she's okay. Maybe we can get her home.
I hope she is okay.
So do
But
I.
I didn't do anything.
But if she's not okay, we can explain that too.
I didn't do anything to her, and I haven't seen her.
Okay,
And I'm sorry, I can't help you find her.
Jake,
I wish I could.
what we're going to do is we're going to proceed. We're going to collect some evidence, and the evidence will show either you did or you didn't.
Like what?
That gas can?
Okay.
That gas can was found at the arson site.
Okay.
Any evidence on Melissa? It's still on her body?
Okay.
Any evidence on you? Any evidence in your vehicle? Any evidence in your house?
Tell you what,
Any evidence in your phone?
you find any evidence on any of that, you can come pick me up.
Okay.
But you're not going to find anything because
Well-
I didn't do anything.
And we hope that's the case for you. But if you are responsible for anything, let's talk about that now, get out in front of it, and let this community heal.
And
You know what I'm saying? Let this community heal. There are people out there looking for this little girl right now.
Yeah, there's lots of people. And if it was
And
my
if-
daughter, I'd be breaking down doors myself.
Yeah.
But I didn't do anything to the little girl. I haven't seen the little girl. I haven't seen Melissa in a long time. I haven't done anything.
Okay.
I was in bed sleeping. I'm sorry I don't live with anybody to corroborate that story. But today I was working. Yesterday I was working. Then I was fishing. And I haven't seen either one of them or talked to either one of them.
But nobody can put you fishing. That's the hard part.
And
Even if people did see me, like yesterday.
Jake, your cell phone.
I don't know who it was.
Your cell phone is not even close to where you say you're fishing. That's concerning to us.
And I understand that, but I can't explain it.
You should have been within a 5-mile radius of where you were fishing, and it's not. It's like 40 miles away.
Like I said, yeah, that's concerning because I kind of was like, oh, what was he doing?
Mm-hmm.
But I can't explain it because I was freaking fishing.
Is there fishing rods in your Jeep?
There's a fishing rod.
Is there
and
a tackle box?
Yes. You can't search my Jeep, but you can see, I'll let you see the fishing rod in the tackle box.
Why won't you let us search your Jeep?
Because at this point, I don't trust you guys.
Did we lie to you?
You're pushing me to say something that I didn't do. And to say
No,
that I had a
Jake,
relationship with
Jake,
No,
no one is
you're
pushing
pushing
you.
me to say I had a
Jake,
relationship
no.
with somebody I did not have a relationship
No,
with.
we are trying to
At all,
clarify that
ever.
discrepancy.
And
That's
I'm
all we're trying
clarifying
to
it.
do.
And I'm sorry she told 5, 6 different people that she was in a sexual relationship with me.
Okay.
But it's not true. And you said, she said, at first you were saying she was telling these people my name was Chance. I don't know a Chance. I've never been called Chance or Chase or whatever it was.
Fair enough.
I mean, so is it Jake or is it Chance that she has some relationship with?
It's Jake.
No, it's not Jake. She's never had a relationship with Jake. And I can't explain it. It's not my deal. I wish I could help you find the little girl. I'm sorry something happened to her, but I have nothing to do with it. Okay. And I hope they find her safe and sound, and
We all do.
You realize if we find any physical evidence on that stuff,
that you're going to come looking for me?
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And here you could maybe help us by leading us to.
Except for I can't, because I don't know anything about it. I realize that if you found something, DNA or fingerprints or whatever on that stuff, they could, make it look bad for me. But I don't know anything about it. And I don't know where the girl's at. I don't know what happened to Melissa other than there was a fire. I mean, that is the extent of my knowledge.
The arson and the homicide and all the other stuff is very, very low on our list.
Yeah, you won't find the girl.
This is number one.
Have you showered in the last 24 hours?
Yeah, I showered this morning.
Where?
At my parents'.
Is that where you shower? You're showering and stuff?
Well, normally I just heat up water and shower at home, but I didn't have a propane tank to heat up my water because they're both on my food truck. So when I stop to get my dishes, sometimes I take a shower, especially since I stink like grease.
Do you bring change of clothes there, or where is your change of clothes?
They're already there.
The clothes you were wearing yesterday are where, is I guess my question.
At home?
At your house?
Yeah, because I didn't put on the same clothes. I put on shorts and shorts and a sweatshirt when I went over there this morning.
Okay.
When you stay on your property, where do you stay?
In my cabin.
The white building or the other building? I was told there's two buildings out there.
The half-white building.
Half-white building.
The other building is my house, which I'm working on building.
That's under construction? Yeah. How many acres do you have out there?
Well, it's 40 acres total, but I don't even own it yet, but half of it's mine, half that the house is on.
All right. Where do you keep your gas cans?
In my wood shed and beside my cabin.
And they're both outside your cabin?
I've got three or four right outside my cabin. I've got 2 or 3 in the woodshed, and I've got 1 or 2 down by the house, and I have 1 over by my sawmill.
Normally keep them filled?
About half full, depending. Some of them have diesel, some of them have gas. We've got mainly big ones and a few smaller ones for my chainsaw and for my sawmill. And honestly, I don't know anybody who doesn't have gas cans, so.
Yeah, just the fact that you own a gas can doesn't make you responsible for an arson. Nobody's saying that. Nobody's saying that at all. Well, that's the reason I asked you. Do you know this gas can?
Well, and know for sure if I knew I own a bunch of them that look like that.
Fair enough. And I think that's.
I can't even tell.
That's reasonable. Yeah.
I can say I don't own one like that. You know?
I've got like 1 or 2 yellow ones, and the rest are red or reddish.
Yep.
Most of them have been kind of dyed by the sun, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But That's it.
Okay, so you're living in a partially white cabin.
Hmm.
Your clothing is in that cabin?
Some of it. Oh, the stuff I wore yesterday?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Change of underwear. When did you change your underwear?
Just today, but my ones I wore yesterday are in there.
Or in your parents' house?
In my cabin.
Along with the shirt and sweatshirt you were wearing?
Shirt. I wasn't wearing a sweatshirt yesterday.
Or shorts or whatever you said? When you went to your parents' house this morning to shower?
Shorts and sweatshirt.
And yesterday's underwear?
No, I just had shorts and sweatshirt.
Okay. Gotcha. So you showered, shorts and sweatshirt are in your Jeep or at home or?
Got washed at my parents' house.
Gotcha. So your clothes from yesterday at home, clothes you're wearing today or what you're wearing now?
Yeah.
Okay.
All day.
Well, Jake, this is what's going to happen. Based on the information that we got from these people about your connection with Melissa, okay, and based upon the cell phone location that we got, we're going to be executing a search warrant.
Game over. Jacob loses. The detectives have successfully delayed Jacob long enough for making an exit, which he could have done nearly 2 hours ago. Because his statements were so contradictory to the evidence, the detectives had reasonable and ever-increasing suspicion towards his guilt. With that contradiction, along with the very strong evidence itself and the time-sensitive nature of the case, the police were able to convince a judge to order and sign a search warrant at nearly 2 a.m. But they will need the warrant in hand before proceeding.
That's fine. You don't even need one. You can just ask Tiffany if you can. Oh, I thought you could.
No, we're not going to ask her.
Okay. You
So-
execute search warrant.
Will be on your person, your vehicle, and your home.
That's fine.
Okay. You can't have access to those things right now.
I have to. I can't sleep anywhere else. And you don't have the search warrant yet.
That's correct, but it's being done.
Well,
And-
that's
and-
nice, but I can't sleep anywhere else. It's a condition of my probation.
Well, we can work that out with Tiffany.
Wait, you're going to have to do it now. And
Tiffany's not going to be checking tonight.
where exactly am I supposed to go?
I don't know. You go hang out at your mom and dad's?
I can't.
Why?
They live and own a mental health home.
Mm-hmm.
I can't stay there.
Okay.
No.
You can't have access to your car or your house.
And can I ask where exactly that's written? Because you said I was free to leave
Mm-hmm.
when I walked in here.
Mm-hmm. But now we're going to be executing a search
And
warrant.
you are still free to leave.
Yeah.
But you're not free to drive away in your vehicle that we now are doing a search warrant for. You're not free to leave in the clothing that we're going to seize. We'll get you some clothing.
Yeah, I'd like to see the judge's order for that.
Well,
yeah.
that's-
But I'm leaving right now.
Okay.
So you bring me the judge's order
Okay.
that, because I know my rights. I can drive away in the clothing I'm wearing. When you get the search warrant, you come find me. I'll be at home sleeping.
Jake, we can seize your car because it's mobile. It's mobile. It can be driven away. So the car will be here. Okay.
My clothes are mobile.
Mm-hmm. That's why we're going to get them from you. We'll get
No,
you
you're
some-
not. You're not. You can't take my clothes unless you're arresting me and you have no probable cause to arrest me.
Well, that's arguable, I guess.
You have hearsay. If you had that, you'd be arresting me.
Well, at some point we'll make an arrest decision. And whether that's tonight or next week or whenever we get DNA back.
You already said that I was free to go.
You are.
I'm not changing clothes. You're stripping me of my rights there. I do know my rights. Give me a phone.
If
Oh wait, I'm gonna make a phone call.
okay.
or a few. If I can't get a hold, well, I'm leaving anyways, and I'm calling an attorney. And you guys are sitting here telling me I have to change my clothes, and I can't drive away in my vehicle, which all my stuff is in, my inhaler, my cigarettes, my pop, everything. Just telling me I have to go sleep on the fucking street because I don't have anywhere else I can go, is what you guys are saying. And you cannot do that without a judge's order. So you can either go get me the judge's order right now, no, like right this second, or I am walking out the door and taking my car with me.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not even sure why it's come to this, because I wouldn't admit to doing whatever it is you want me to admit that I
don't
did,
want you
because
to
I
admit,
didn't fucking do it.
I don't want you to admit to anything. I just want to make sure that you know how important it is that you're honest with us.
And I've been honest with you.
Okay.
So
Would you, at some point, take a polygraph?
I can't polygraph. I have Tourette's. They already tried for my SO treatment.
So,
If I let you come search my Jeep right now, can I take it so I have somewhere to sleep?
I think at this point, we'd like to get a warrant to do that. But we could work on your car right now and probably release it back to you. You could hang out here. I'll buy you a pop. You can go outside and smoke
We'll
a
get your
cigarette.
cigarettes for you out of the car if that's what you
You
need.
can smoke a cigarette. We can do our business, and there's a chance you could drive away with your Jeep tonight.
I'm highly doubting it.
Spoken like a man who's been through the ringer a few times, Jacob challenges the detectives on his ability to leave, and technically, he's right. Without the search warrant in hand and presented to the suspect, they cannot seize the things that they want: the phone, the clothes, the shoes, and the car. However, at the same time, they can't just let him leave, because these are items that they classify as, quote, mobile. These are all things that can basically disappear, unlike a structure like Jacob's house. Thinking quickly, the detectives realize that their stalling needs to continue a little bit longer, and they both land on the same ship, bargaining. Although doubtful, Jacob is receptive to this idea, continuing the discussion.
Why?
Or we could do the house quick and he can have his house.
And
No, that's
drive
another
up to the
option.
house? Yeah. Would your parents pick you up and bring you into work tomorrow, or bring you here to pick up your vehicle if we drop you off at your
I
house?
need my vehicle for work. And no, they're running a business.
Well, hey, I'm just asking.
And that's my business vehicle.
Would, yeah, but I'm saying.
I don't have anybody to drive me around, to pick up my groceries, to do run me home and back.
What would you rather have tonight, your house sooner
Both.
or your car?
My car.
Your car, okay.
But
We
you can
can-
walk
we
out
can-
and search it right where it's at.
We can do that. We'd probably like to bring it in a lighted building in Sallyport here, take a look at it, and there's a good chance, if you're saying everything's all clean in there, good chance you get your car back. I can't promise you, but there's a chance.
What exactly would keep my car? Because at this
I
point,
have to
I don't
look-
trust that you guys would give it back. And since
we,
it's not my name,
we would like to look at it. I haven't looked at it. I don't know.
or you can come search it right where it's at.
Well, it's dark. I'll
Turn on the lights, use a flashlight.
would bring it in here. So I'll go check the status of the court orders. All right.
So what happens when I drive away? Because
Until
I
we-
don't see a court order, I don't see a warrant, or anything. And since you never offered to let me talk to an attorney or anything else, you're railroading me.
We're not railroading you.
I'm trying to play along and been telling you guys the fucking truth, and you lied to me. You're like, oh, you can leave. Oh, I'm free to go sleep on the street naked because you guys are going to take my clothes, take my Jeep, and take my house.
Can we run you up to your house and get you some clothes?
No.
Okay. You're not going. Sit down. Sit down.
You said I was free to leave.
Sit down.
You said I was free to
Sit
leave.
down.
At this point, sir, you're going to have a seat. Okay?
At this point, I want to call an attorney.
You can call whoever you want.
Have a seat.
Have a seat. You're being detained.
You're being detained right now.
Court order.
Okay? So have a seat.
Jacob has nothing to lose at this point. He calls their bluff in the most extreme of ways, by testing his freedom to leave right in front of the investigators, and he fails yet again in a spectacular manner. He doesn't even make it past the door before he's stopped, and now is officially detained. Keep in mind, there is a difference between being detained and being arrested. Being detained by the police is a right that law enforcement have when they have reasonable belief of a person's involvement during the course of an investigation, when both the police and person are on the same premises. Being arrested, however, puts a person into the custody of the police as a result of being officially charged with a crime. At this moment, Jacob is not being charged with anything.
How long is it?
We're going to work as quick as we
Have
can.
a seat.
We're going to work as quick as we can. The longer we sit and argue about this, we're just wasting time.
Can you
Have a
search
seat.
my Jeep so I can go?
Have a seat. We're going to work
That's
at
what
this
they're
as
working
quick
on. They
as
have to get paperwork in order with it first.
What kind of pop do you drink?
Mom, dude.
All right, I'll grab it.
It's coming.
I can't eat cookies.
What can you eat?
I don't want to.
The court order's coming. Right. Just
You guys
Hang
want
on,
to search
no.
my stuff? I'll give you my keys.
They can't do it that way. They got to put the paperwork in order.
They
Okay?
already said they could do that. Do it that way.
They're doing paperwork.
that was before. Now
Before, because I wanted to leave, you said I was free to leave. So then when I say I want to leave, it's you have to stay.
no.
Yeah.
Here's what happened. We had a check with Verizon. Tell us why a cell phone ping is here when he says he's here. Is there any way it would bounce off a tower and give us a reading like it is? They tell us no, it would be within 5 miles of where you were. That's
Gotcha.
concerning to us.
Cell phone signals came in two varieties in 2016. GSM, used by providers like AT&T and T-Mobile, and CDMA, used by Verizon and what was then known as Sprint. CDMA towers have a hypothetical maximum range of 35 miles, much larger than the 22 miles for GSM. This is, again, hypothetical. Optimum conditions, terrain, network traffic, and of course, if there isn't a tower closer that the phone could ping. Verizon's expansive coverage of their CDMA network at the time was one of their key differentiators, as shown by this coverage map from the same time period. Comparing it to a map of Big Fork's location, we can reliably come to the conclusion that, with Big Fork's extensive network coverage, and given the extremely rural terrain, there would be an abundance of towers to provide signal. In addition, at that time in particular, Verizon representatives had the ability to check individual tower statuses, both present and historically, so the claim of it had to be within 5 miles is something that would have supporting data, and there indeed was.
Went back, checked with the other investigators, who all said what people said that Melissa had a relationship with Jake. That's concerning to us.
You can talk to everybody we worked with at Anderson's, and they'll tell you the same thing happened back then, and it wasn't true.
Okay.
I'm serious. I can give you the names and numbers of.
People lie to us. Okay?
I got that.
So, I'm not saying you're lying to us, but the cell phone thing's concerning and the relationship. What cops do, you think my job is to just convict you and arrest you? Our job,
No.
the public wants us to go seek the truth. So when we have a discrepancy, all right, Jake is telling this, we got these people, and the cell phone are telling this. Who's telling us the truth? Polygraph might help. Okay, you can understand you can't do it. That would help us separate it.
That would be great.
Yeah, but we can't. All right. Is there any evidence to say that these people are right? Is there evidence to say Jake is right? Well, here we go. We're going to search your vehicle, your mode of transportation. Is there any evidence in there that that little girl or Melissa were in that vehicle? Okay.
None.
But I can't just say, well, I can't stand before my boss and say, well, Jake said there's none. What do you mean you didn't search it? So that's why we're searching the vehicle. Is there any evidence that this little girl was at your house?
No.
You're saying no. I can't go to my boss and say, well, Jake said no. Well, that's not good enough. Go search it. We search your vehicle. We search your house, your person, your clothes. We find no connection. Guess what?
We move on to the next person.
Jake was telling the truth.
The cell phone shit's unexplainable. We move on. You know?
I can't explain that. So if I hand over my keys and my clothes, could I call my parents and have them come pick me up?
Definitely.
You-
Definitely.
So let
We're
me
not-
hand over my keys and my clothes.
Do you want your parents to bring you some clothes?
We have jail clothes here. There's some.
I'll wear the jail clothes out.
Okay,
All right.
we'll grab you some.
All right.
Can I call?
Yeah. And if you want me to talk to him,
No.
5'11", 190.
I'll have an attorney by morning, so.
okay. I mean, we're getting an order from a judge, so an attorney can't prevent that.
I don't care about the search. I really don't give a shit. You won't find anything anywhere of any of this.
But I explained your story, their story. Now we're looking to see what story is true. That's how we do it.
I got that. But detaining me without a...
Well,
Hey, hello? Can you come pick me up from the police department? Because of that frickin' woman that died and that missing girl, they're questioning everybody, but apparently my cell phone pinged somewhere where I wasn't. And so they're seizing my car and my cabin and searching them in my clothes. Thank you. Yeah, thanks. Bye.
all right. We'll get the clothes down here for you.
Is your house locked?
Yeah.
That'll get you your house and the house and
That's the house and the Jeep.
Okay. Why don't we get somebody up to that house and get that secured? Get somebody in that house.
Can I keep my hat? Can you do whatever you need to do to it quick so I can keep my hat? I don't know what you have to do to it, but
Maybe photograph it.
and I'm sorry, I'm not mad at you guys. I just,
Hey, Jake, you have a right to be angry. Okay, I can understand that. And we're trying to do our jobs.
how long does the forensic testing take on stuff like the gas can? Or so I know when you guys can say, okay, you're not him, or you're not whoever.
Because we have a missing kid right now,
Mm-hmm.
this case will move to the forefront of our testing.
Well, yeah, I figured that.
So, I think 2 weeks might be a good estimate on that. Whatever our crime scene team collected at the house and from the person of Melissa, I mean, we're assuming it's Melissa, that may take a little longer, but we'll be in touch. So maybe quicker than a normal case, so maybe within a few weeks. I have no control how fast our scientist does all that stuff.
How long?
Oh,
How
when I
long
when I was
question? Huh?
when I was out, did you ask for an attorney when I was gone? Did you say you wanted to speak to an attorney, or you didn't want to talk anymore? You wanted an attorney? Did you ask for one?
I think I said you guys didn't ask if or say I had a right to an attorney or
Okay.
anything.
Well, if I was out and you did, do I have your permission to answer your questions without an attorney present?
But that was supposed to be the other way around.
No, I mean, if you ask for an attorney, I don't. Do you have?
You can answer my
Okay.
questions. Just
Okay. What was your question? Well,
how long till I get my Jeep and my house back?
The detective and Jacob repeat the same question and answer discussion about the time frame for the searches to be completed and for Jacob to take possession of his items.
we got. I'll just put your shirt there.
Jacob willingly gives his clothes to the investigators, which they will later submit for forensic examination, searching for any traces of Jacob's involvement in the homicide and kidnapping.
So if I say you can go ahead and take pictures of me, or search my person, take pictures, can you do that without the warrant then? So we can.
I could with your consent. I could.
I consent to it.
But right now, with kind of our exchange, I feel comfortable with the search warrant. I feel more comfortable executing under the direction of a search warrant than consent. I got a text that said they're on their way. It's coming. It's closed, but.
Jacob also willingly allows the officers to photograph his body. Legally, they could now proceed without the search warrant. However, given Jacob's prior resistance and the fact that the search warrant was already en route, the detective believes that it would be in the best interest of the strength of the case to wait for the warrant. This is definitely a move that they feel will prevent any sort of possible defense later on that Jacob gave permission under duress, potentially giving Jacob a chance at having any evidence gathered at this point inadmissible. This is a great example of the investigators' forward thinking, seeking not only for the case to be solved, but also to secure a conviction.
Okay to take pictures yet, or what?
No, it was search warrants being reviewed. I'd rather do it on a better camera than on my phone.
Jacob is forced to wait, along with the detectives, for another hour for the search warrant to finally be delivered. Finally, Detective Girardi re-enters the room with the search warrant in hand. The audio has been redacted by the courts, but the images you see speak for themselves. After nearly 4 hours, Jacob is finally able to leave, but is forced to leave his clothes, his phone, his Jeep, and access to his house behind. Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension agents immediately take his phone for analysis. With the use of specialized forensic equipment, they were able to access everything on his phone, finding a veritable treasure trove of damning pictures and videos. But for the missing child in particular, deleted texts between Melissa Norby and Jacob Kinn were recovered. These texts detailed an elaborate plan between the pair to kidnap Melissa's best friend's daughter. Based on the messages, investigators were able to determine that the kidnapping was supposed to happen a week earlier. Melissa was to babysit her on the planned night of the kidnapping, but much to Jacob's displeasure, the child unexpectedly became ill. In that original plan, the pair had agreed that Melissa would be suddenly attacked and carjacked by an unknown man, driving off with the child still in the car. One of the most haunting questions about the whole scenario is, why would Melissa take part in such a terrible act, or even allow it to happen? Melissa Norby and Amanda Smith, the mother of the now missing child, was Melissa's best friend for 30 years. There was no indication that Melissa had anything but love for Amanda and her children. The sad truth was that Melissa would do anything to have Jacob, no matter what the cost was. Melissa just wanted to be loved, and she sought it where she felt it could be reciprocated, but Jacob just wanted the girl. It's unclear how the situation between Melissa and Jacob escalated from being just a kidnapping into one that included arson and homicide, but the probation officer earlier had pinged cell phone towers in Big Fork. The monumental task of searching the area began. Big Fork is an extremely rural area with large swaths of trees and farmland, making the search for the missing child, for all intents and purposes, like a needle in a haystack. Investigators had a few things on their side, though. When Jacob's Jeep was examined immediately after his interrogation only hours before, the undercarriage showed signs of having been recently driven through an area of extremely long grass as well as small yellow and white wildflowers, and his tires showed fresh signs of having driven through muddy terrain. What really helped investigators narrow their search, though, was a helpfully curious 911 dispatcher in between calls. While searching through available databases, they noted that there was a kin who owned property in Big Fork, and that property was just 3 miles away from the cell phone tower that Jacob's phone had pinged earlier. They notified BCA agents about their finding, who were then able to quickly verify that the kin in question was related to Jacob. Just as the sun was rising, detectives arrived at the dirt road leading to the property. A rainstorm had drenched the area some hours before, which in most cases would be detrimental to gathering evidence. As luck would have it, it did the opposite this time. The area was traveled by so few people, and coupled with the recent rain washing away previous marks, any tire tracks coming off the dirt road would be easily identifiable. And that's exactly what they found. Muddy tire impressions coming from the dirt road and onto the asphalt. Impressions that were so clear and distinguishable that they were able to immediately match them to the pictures of the tires on Jacob's Jeep that was confiscated just hours earlier. Jacob had just been there. They carefully drove down the dirt road, making sure not to disturb the tracks in the mud that Jacob left. After half a mile, the dirt road ends, but just next to them are 2 more tire tracks going through a large field of grass with white and yellow sunflowers. They exit their vehicle and follow the tracks for another half mile. Nestled against a tree line and under a canopy of leaves, they spot a small camper. Hearts pounding, they slowly approached. They were almost positive that the girl was here, but the area was eerily quiet beyond the sounds of wind gusts and rustling leaves. Was she in there? And if she was she still alive? Cutting away the electrical tape that was tightly wrapped from the door handle to the camper, they slowly opened the door.
My mommy's name is...
Hi, what did you say your name was again? I'm going to take a little video. Hey, how'd you get here?
Friend got me here.
Oh, what's his name? Okay, when did he bring you here?
Right now.
Right now? Okay.
Does he have a car?
What kind of car does he have?
Wait, and it has a name on it.
Okay, was he nice to you?
Do you know what the name is on his car?
Yeah. Okay. Is it okay if I come in? Okay, you don't have to be scared, okay? We're the police. Is there anybody else around here with you? Okay. Can you show me your feet? Right there? Okay. Where are you taped at? Okay, anywhere else? Did you have tape on your arms?
Yes, but Bruce.
Okay. Did you take the tape off? Where's that tape at?
The tape is at friend's car. It's inside of the car.
Okay, my name's Rob and this is Don. How old are you?
Probably something.
Probably or something. Okay.
Did anybody else come out here with you and his friend? Okay, no?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you remember what friend looked like? What does he look like?
He has a beard only.
Okay.
Did you go to his house at all? Do you know what color his house is? What's it look like?
What?
Is it a big house or a small house?
Small house.
Okay.
Does he have any animals or no? Okay.
The mama cat has baby kittens.
Oh, okay.
He has a mama cat with baby kittens.
Okay. Do the tape on your legs hurt at all? Okay.
Only my arm.
Only your arms? Do your arms hurt? Can you point to where your arms hurt?
There.
Okay. Anywhere else? Okay. Is it okay if we take a few more pictures? Okay.
My mommy's name is.
Okay.
You know your mommy's phone number? What is it?
It's.
Okay, we'll call your mommy pretty soon here. Okay.
Okay.
Are you thirsty? Okay.
For water.
Okay. We'll get you some pop, okay? All
Okay.
I like pop or something.
Okay. We'll get you whatever you want.
All right, this is Special Agent Rob Frake with Special Agent Don Newhouse. Time now is...
Let's see here in mine. 6:11 a.m. June 23rd, 2016.
26 hours after the fire at Hillcrest Manor, the case was almost closed. The investigators made one call each simultaneously. One was to the mother, Amanda Smith, finally waking her up from the living nightmare of her child missing. They found her, and she was alive. And the second call was to update the team at headquarters that their hunches were right and that the girl had been safely recovered. And with that call came a picture message accompanied by only 2 words: arrest him. Just a few hours after being released from the first interrogation, Jacob found himself being arrested not far from the camper where he was holding the 5-year-old. This is the second interrogation of Jacob Kinn.
How you doing?
Good. How you been?
Good. Good.
Can you believe I taught him everything he knows?
No.
Yeah. We're at school together.
If you need
Well,
anything, just let us know.
Yeah, all right. Thanks.
Yep.
Jake, what happened to your hand? You didn't try to do anything, did you?
No,
Here.
it's been cut.
Pull up over.
You took a picture of it.
Oh, you didn't try to
No, I dropped the knife the other day.
pull up over here. Here, you can go over there. And
It's right there. All right? Yeah, I got that. Oh. Right under.
all right, Jake. You're under arrest. Okay.
I see that.
You see that? Since you are in custody, I will read you the Miranda warning. Okay. Yeah, because I didn't notice the cut on you that bad. You didn't try to cut yourself, did you?
No, it just got infected. Okay. And so I cleaned it off and bandaged it up.
All right.
You need some help with that?
Hmm?
You need some help with it?
When we're done.
Okay.
All right. The time is
10:17 hours.
10:17 a.m. This is Special Agent Paul Girardi, Minnesota BCA. Dave, you want to identify your
I'm
voice?
Detective Sergeant David Lozella. I'm with the Bemidji Police Department.
And we will be talking to Jake Kinn at the Itasca County Sheriff's Department interview room. Jake is in custody. Jake, since you're in custody, I'm going to read you the Miranda warning before we talk. Understanding your rights, as I've explained them to you, are you willing to answer some more questions from us?
For now.
Okay.
Jake, we haven't met. I'm Sergeant Lozella, and I'm a detective with the Police Department in Bemidji.
Yes,
All right. Jake, we went to the house, a little concerned you might do harm to yourself. Okay. Has anything changed from we talked last?
No. Other than being confused as to why I am being arrested now and what changed from a couple hours ago, or I don't even know what time it is now.
Yeah,
10 in the morning.
10 in the morning.
Okay, so 3 hours ago. 2 to 3 hours ago.
All right. Last night when we talked, you said you had no contact with Melissa Norby. You didn't date her, you weren't seeing her, you didn't have a relationship with her. Is that true?
Yeah.
I didn't ever run to her house.
I've been there once.
Once?
Yeah.
When was the last time that you were there?
Year and a half ago or something. Went and looked at a chair that a mutual friend left there and she didn't want there and offered to me, and I went to look at it.
That was a year ago?
Somewhere in there, yeah.
Okay.
The line of questioning seems ridiculous given the overwhelming evidence directly linking Jacob to being the perpetrator of the hell that was unleashed on Bemidji. But, like the interrogation just hours before, there's intent behind every question levied upon Jacob. They're getting Jacob to reaffirm his previous statements, which they now have hard evidence of being a lie.
And you had no contact with the little girl. You didn't see her. She didn't come to your food station. You didn't see her at Melissa's house. You don't know her parents. And there's going to be no connection between you and her.
Sure.
And
Whatsoever, in any way, shape, or form.
Whatsoever.
Okay.
and no connection between you and Melissa.
Well, not
Well, I mean, when I
year
say
ago.
connection, is there going to be evidence that says you were in Melissa's house?
I don't believe so, no.
Okay. And that gas can that we talked about, showed you a picture. Is that any of your evidence going to be on that?
No.
DNA or fingerprints?
Not that I'm aware of. So,
Nothing's changed from last night.
No.
100% sure?
95% sure.
What's the 5%?
Yeah.
I'm tired and groggy, and you guys kept me up all night, and I
Yeah.
tried to sleep. Sleep in a vehicle for 2 hours, and I'm still
A little tired, groggy?
extremely tired, yes.
Okay.
But you didn't really answer my question.
What was your question?
What changed between 2 hours ago and now?
Jacob finds out what changed in the last few hours when Agent Girardi shows the picture of the victim being held by special agents after her rescue.
Is that the 5% that you're talking about that you're not sure of?
Now, let's start over. What do you got to tell us?
Now's the time, Jake. Okay, we know more than you think we do right now. And now's the time for you to fill in those blanks. And now's the time for you to come clean and tell us what really's happened here and what's really gone on. Now's the time for you to stand up and do that.
Take us through the night.
Started talking to Melissa again a few weeks to a month ago.
Okay.
She had gotten a hold of me, and we talked. And we weren't dating, but we actually hadn't had a sexual relationship, but we, role played on the phone.
Role played, and what was her role?
It was daddy, daughter, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Then I went over there the other night.
What night? Today's Thursday. Tooth in it.
Deafening silence fills the room for nearly 2 minutes.
Back to Tuesday, Jake.
Yeah, I'm thinking, I'm trying to decide if I want to get an attorney or not before I go farther.
Did you go there for her or for Melissa? Who was,
It was from Melissa, but it was,
did you know that she was going to be there?
yeah,
Was she part of the role playing? Did Melissa bring her in for role playing?
Jacob shamefully nods his head, confirming his involvement. The detectives are mere millimeters from getting details and a verbal confession directly from Jacob.
How do you know that?
Did you ask her to bring her in?
Did she offer it up? Do you think his mother knew what was going on?
I have no idea.
Do you know mother?
How did all that come about? Did Melissa offer, hey, I can get a 5-year-old girl here?
Yeah, that was a couple of years ago, but yeah.
Has she been there before when you've been with Melissa? Once. What was the goal? Just to watch?
No, it was, to be looked at for the most part.
Kind of like viewing porn while you're having sex? Was she naked when she did that for arousal?
Yeah, she was sleeping.
About how many times were you with Melissa? Couple, just recently?
No, this would have been the only time recently.
So this hookup on Tuesday night was the only one for a long time. So you just recently hooked up.
And you had no idea that was going to be there.
No, I didn't.
You did know.
Hold on. I do want an attorney.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, Jake had indicated he wished to talk to an attorney. Jake, would you be willing to sit down with us again?
After I talk to the attorney.
Okay. Do you have an attorney in mind?
No, I can't go over
Okay. This will end the interview. The time is 10:31 a.m.
The audio from this point on is omitted as the interrogation comes to a close after Jacob asks for a lawyer. Jacob Kinn was immediately taken into custody under a litany of felony charges related to his heinous crime spree. The reality of what happened on June 22, 2016 is disturbing by any stretch of the imagination. Often, the truth is truly stranger than fiction. As originally expected and confirmed, Jacob Kinn was Melissa Norby's secret lover. In the early morning hours, Jacob and Melissa became intimate, the little girl waiting only 5 feet away in another room. While together, Jacob suddenly used a belt on Melissa. While they shared some interests in rougher engagements, this time was different. Jacob cinched the belt until the last breath of life left Melissa. Jacob moved with intent. He quickly reclothed himself and grabbed the little girl, leaving Melissa's body behind to be dealt with later. He took her to his home, his dirty and half-constructed shack, where he committed unspeakable crimes against her. Afterwards, Jacob left his victim in his home with her legs restrained while he went to work at his food truck. But before starting his shift, Jacob made a pit stop at Melissa's home. Jacob knew that he had left an almost literal mountain of traceable evidence that connected him to the scene, and he knew that he needed to do something about it if he wanted even a chance at getting away with his demonic actions. Jacob's answer? He used some gas cans that he brought from his own home to set Melissa's house on fire, not only catastrophically damaging the structure itself, but causing extreme burns to Melissa's corpse as well. To Jacob, he was one step closer to getting away with it all. After his shift, he brought her to his brother's property in Big Fork, where he would yet again commit unspeakable acts against his victim, leaving her restrained on a small bed in the back of one of the mobile homes. Thanks to quick-moving police and agents across the board, the victim was soon saved from the decrepit home in the middle of literally nowhere. This all seems fairly straightforward compared to what was covered and uncovered, and while the facts of the case are hideously disturbing, what really pushes this case to the next level? Well, Melissa Norby had been considered a victim for most of the investigation, emphasis on most of. Melissa Norby may have been a victim of homicide, but Melissa Norby was working with Jacob Kinn in order to kidnap the victim. Melissa had been convinced to help Jacob kidnap the youngest child of Melissa's oldest and best friend. While the only person who can tell us exactly what happened, Melissa, is dead, through interviews and statements, there's a commonly accepted truth. Melissa was a woman who wanted to be loved. She was a woman who wanted her own happy ending, just like most people do. With the clock of time ticking against her, she grew more and more desperate to find someone that would stay with her, and in her mind, that person was Jacob Kinn. Regardless of his disgusting past and his obviously abusive behavior towards her and their relationship, Melissa would do anything for his love, even if it included kidnapping her best friend's child. Jacob Kinn would eventually be charged and, after agreeing to a plea deal, he was convicted on 3 felonies: 1 count of second-degree unintentional murder, 1 count of kidnapping, and 1 count of first-degree criminal conduct with a person younger than 13. The charge of second-degree unintentional murder relates to the method that Melissa Norby died. They had a history of being extremely rough during their intimate times together, namely, there was a history of choking that had happened in the past. Melissa had previously made it clear to her closest confidants that choking was a key role in her sexual gratification. Because of this, the prosecution felt that the argument of Melissa passing away due to an accident would be too strong for a first-degree intentional murder charge. As a part of a plea deal, Kinn's attorneys agreed to a sentence much stricter than Minnesota guidelines call for. During his plea, Kinn admitted to 4 aggravating factors related to the murder of Melissa Sue Norby. Because he testified that he treated Norby with particular cruelty, mutilated her body, committed the murder in the presence of a child, and caused additional harm to people who knew her, 9th District Judge Shari Schluter sentenced Kinn to 33 years in prison for the murder, double the guideline sentence. Kinn also received a sentence of 4 years and 8 months in prison for the kidnapping and 4 years and 4 months in prison for the sexual assault. As an additional result of the plea deal, Jacob's victim would be able to avoid having to face him in court during her testimony against him. She did, however, write a letter to Jacob, which was read out in court. In the letter, she stated that she didn't like the way he played with her and that she hated him and never wanted to play with him again. She ended her letter by thanking Jacob, however, for letting her play with his kittens. She was bribed by Jacob with a promise of playing with his kittens. Jacob, clearly aware of her affinity for animals, had planned for this and used her undying love for baby animals to lure her into his cruel web of depravity. Despite this, she remained strong enough to be able to thank Jacob for the opportunity to share her love with a kitten. Jacob Kinn was held in the Beltrami County Jail until 1 month before being sentenced. On May 27, 2017, Jacob was transferred into the Minnesota Department of Corrections system. Jacob has an online prison pen pal profile that is, at the time of this recording, currently active, and all of the information he posts is freely available to the public on wireofhope.com. Within that profile, Jacob states, "I have gotten my fair share of hate mail and can do without more of that." Jacob Kinn is currently being held at the Rush City, Minnesota Correctional Facility. Unless any new charges are accrued, Jacob is expected to be released on February 22, 2051, at the age of 67. At minimum, Jacob will remain behind bars for the rest of his sentence.